Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do one that should be pretty fun. This is just going to be, I think, what I'm going to call goofy crap in the Harbor Freight catalog. I'll give you a little forward here. I'm not going to pick on people that can only buy at Harbor Freight. I own a ton of stuff from a Harbor Freight. I think anybody that does anything in the shop these days probably does. If that's your budget, that's completely fine. The things that I've found in here are not budget options anyway, for the most part. Likewise, if I pick on something in here that is your favorite tool, or let's say in a couple days you get one for Christmas from someone you love very dearly, don't take it personally from me anyway. And certainly don't take it personally against them. You know, most people aren't tool people. They're not going to know the difference between a good thing and a bad thing. And I'm not trying to beat up you guys out there. I am going to beat up Harbor Freight a little bit. They've fallen victim to something I saw coming with these guys as soon as they came to my town in the late 90s, which is eventually they're going to run their competitors out of business, and then they're going to become more expensive and lower quality than their competitors. And that is basically what I see happening here. In the case I'm thinking of specifically, I'm talking about Sears. When Harbor Freight came to town, you could go buy, and you probably still can, go buy like a set of wrenches for like $8 or $12 or whatever, and if you went to Sears, it'd be $100. You know, there was absolutely no debate. If you were hard strapped for cash, you'd go to Harbor Freight and get your stuff because that was far and away the best deal. I mean, who can argue with that? But the stuff I'm going to show in here primarily is either just straight up junk or just a really bad value, and I don't think a lot of guys out there realize that Harbor Freight is doing this, that they've been slowly edging their prices up to the point where you think just because you're in Harbor Freight it's a good deal when it really isn't. And the first thing we're going to talk about just quickly is the actual crap that they sell at Harbor Freight, like all the toys and the Edison bulbs and all this crap. In my experience, they carry this stuff so that your lady partner has something to do while you're in the store. Anytime I've ever taken a girlfriend into Harbor Freight with me, we leave with one of these pieces of junk that you usually find on these catalogs because, or you know, in these catalogs on these pages, because they decided they wanted it or whatever, and it's usually like a $10 thing. The way I look at it is these are basically Harbor Freight impulse buys that they know they can basically stack 10% onto your order if you go in there with your wife. That might sound sexist as all hell, and maybe it is a little sexist as all hell, or you know, you go in there with your kids. It sounds that way, but I'll tell you straight up right now, I worked in retail for about 12 years of my life. You know, a lot of high school kids end up working at McDonald's. I didn't. I ended up working at, you know, retail jobs for different periods of time. And I'll tell you from the inside out that retailers do this stuff on purpose for exactly that reason. Home Depot actually got into some pretty big business by partnering up with Disney and selling children's toys right at the registers. And those things became a huge moneymaker for them. And it's for exactly the same reason. People go to Home Depot to buy stuff that kids are not interested in, but they have to take their kids, right? You know, you can't just, maybe you can just leave them to the wolves. But people take their kids in there and their kids are bored, so their kids run around and find goofy crap like this and pick it up and give it to mom and dad, and there you go, there's another 20 bucks in the till or whatever. But the big offender on this page that bothers me the most is the Harbor Freight American flags. I mean, this is a Chinese company straight up. Apparently you can buy the Chinese one for $9, or they have a Made in America option for $20 now. If you're going to Harbor Freight and buying American flags, you need to come to my shop so we can have a deep talk about your life decisions. Likewise, and I don't care what the quality of this toolbox is, if you go into Harbor Freight with a budget of $5,000 to buy anything, you are out of your mind. This may be an awesome toolbox. It's 73-inch, so it's giant. But you can buy gently used Snap-on boxes this size for this price. I don't even care if the Harbor Freight box actually is a better box. Spending $5,000 at Harbor Freight is just asinine. What? No. Moving on to stuff that I think is more likely to directly impact me and my viewers. I don't think many of us have a $5,000 budget, just period. This is actually the thing that prompted me making these videos, is these extendable ratchets. I've never used one of these. I don't intend to ever use one of these. This seems like just an awesome way to freaking hurt yourself. The last thing in the world you would ever want to do is be reefing on something and really putting your back into it, your guts into it, and the length of this thing just spontaneously decides to change. I don't care how firm the lockup mechanism on this thing is, it's not firm enough. There's no way. And why would you ever do that when all over YouTube, everybody, including me, will tell you how awesome the Harbor Freight breaker bars are? Just buy one of those if you need more leverage for whatever you're doing. The only place I deviate from everybody else is I don't like the professional one with the padded handle because you can't slip a cheater pipe over it unless you get like a 3-inch cast iron pipe. So I prefer just the regular style. And there's a lot of good stuff to buy from Harbor Freight. We'll talk about that some other time. This guy here is a prime example of what I said at the beginning of the video, where Harbor Freight is actually charging more for their tools now than premium tool manufacturers. And I'm not saying that in many cases those tools aren't made in the exact same factory right next to each other and they're the exact same quality, but why would you pay more for this Harbor Freight wire stripper than you can buy an Irwin one for? I mean, sure, they both have lifetime warranties, but my gut feeling is that Irwin is much more likely to have the exact same tool in 10 or 15 years if you do need to warranty it, and that your odds of needing to warranty it are much lower. On Amazon, I think the Irwin automatic strippers are like 21 bucks. I have a set of them at work and they're awesome. Why would you pay more to get an off-brand, basically? This is what Harbor Freight's been doing. They've been ratcheting up their prices, and they've been doing this, you know, this professional quality, premium professional, blah, blah, blah. They've done their good, better, best kind of thing, and they're trying to rob you guys. Don't fall for silly crap like this. Do your research. Another awesome example of that is this 1000 lumen LED work lamp for 25 bucks. It might well be a great work lamp, but for 20 bucks, you can buy a Honeywell brand, which Honeywell is a respected name. And again, these might be made in the same factory by the same people with the same parts. But you can buy a Honeywell for 20 bucks, for 5 bucks less. That's 3000 lumen. And maybe it really is, maybe it really isn't, maybe they're actually all the same brightness, but why would you pay more to buy the Harbor Freight stuff? Just buy these. And in fact, I did just buy 2 of these, because if you've watched more than one of my videos, you know I desperately need more lighting. And this is in the Sam's Club catalog, by the way, so yes, you do have to be a Sam's member, but deals like this I'm sure are out there everywhere. But you've got to do your homework. You can't just walk into Harbor Freight or see something in the Harbor Freight catalog and assume it's a good deal or a good value, or that your 20% off coupon is even worth bothering with. You know, like my dad gets all wrapped around the axle over those 20% off coupons. This is already 20% off, and Honeywell gives us a 5-year warranty. I think pretty much everything in the Harbor Freight catalog that isn't a hand tool gets a 90-day warranty. You're just goofy if you don't do this as opposed to the Harbor Freight light. And here's another one that really burns me. This 25-foot 10-gauge extension cord. Now, granted, I think that's a triple tap extension cord, so it's got, you know, 3 outlets at the end of it, but who cares? You can get a decent outlet strip for not much money for 40 bucks. And this is no doubt, you know, Chinese wire. For $36.50, you can buy a USA-made Coleman cable 10-gauge 25-foot cord. So for $2.50 less, or a couple dollars less, you can buy a nice Coleman cable. And if you've never heard of Coleman cable before, I will tell you there is a difference. Coleman is owned by Southwire, or made by Southwire. They're all over the place. But I do have some professional experience with Coleman, and the product we were using, the product we were building with their cable, someone in our purchasing group decided to cost reduce it and buy Chinese wire instead. And the product we were building was UL listed. So to maintain your UL listing, you actually have to do what's called a high pot test on your product, at least on the wire, at least the product we were building we had to. So basically you send like 50,000 volts down your extension cord or your wire, and you measure the resistance, and you're only allowed, or I don't remember what the actual measurement reported. It may not have been resistance. We'll pretend it is because it's easy to talk about. And if you were outside of that tolerance, then you had to scrap the cord, even though the cord itself was fine. But anyway, when we switched to Coleman, or from Coleman, we picked up, I think, like a 20 to 30% quality failure with whatever Chinese wire we were buying, which was supposed to be the same specification. We went right back to Coleman and back to almost no problems. Plus the Coleman extension cords are UL listed, and they're also OSHA approved. You think the Harbor Freight crap is? And why? Why would you pay more to get generic Harbor Freight crap when you can buy the real deal for a little less. And if that triple tap's really a big deal for you, I'm sure Coleman will sell you one for another $5. You know, so for a couple bucks more, you can still get a much better product, in my opinion. This one really kills me too. So they're advertising their top tier Hercules angle grinder for $79. But of course, you know, it's always on sale every day for 50 bucks or whatever. You can buy a Makita, the anointed king of angle grinders, in a kit with an aluminum case with, I think, 3 or 4 grinding discs and a cutoff wheel and all kinds of crap for $72. And I actually own the Makita I'll show you in the video. Why would you even do that? Even if it was a $20 difference, why wouldn't you opt for the Makita? And even if, let's say, a hardcore tool reviewer, I'm sure you guys know a few, disassembles one of these things and says it's just awesome inside, I'm still going to trust the Makita reputation, especially if my budget for tools allows me enough money to spend this price or even this price anyway. You know, if I have 50 bucks for a grinder, that probably means that I really need to rely on it, or I'd be down here buying this $15 grinder, which there's plenty of application for these in the world. In fact, I would like to buy about 5 of these just to put attachments on and leave that way, and if it dies, it dies. I throw it away. You got to watch this kind of stuff because they're starting to see us coming, guys. They know that they've put all the other guys out of business, and now they can start screwing us. Don't let them do that. This jump starter pack is another perfect example of them doing that. This thing's a 450 peak amps jump pack. You can buy a 600 amp pack for this same price on Amazon. I own one from that same company that's an 800 amp pack, and it's been fine. And again, it probably goes right down the same assembly line in the same factory, but why? Why wouldn't you buy the better tool for the same price, or at least the tool with better specs for the same price? In fact, the one I own looks almost identical to this, but mine's an 800 amp. And I did get it on a super sale on Amazon for, I think, 70 bucks. Yeah, and this is actually a coupon. So if you're deal hunting and you're patient, you can buy a much better tool for the same price. So again, don't let them screw you. Don't think just because you're in Harbor Freight it's the best deal. And this one's probably my absolute favorite of just absolutely trying to chump bait people. This is one of those oscillating vibratory cutoff tools that just shakes at the end, and apparently they're awesome. I'd like to get one. I see people use them all the time. They look cool. Look like they'd be a nice thing to have. But they're touting their Hercules brand one here for $100, and they're comparing it to a Fine, which is one of the most expensive tool brands you can buy, period, for 350 bucks. For $120, you can buy a Milwaukee 18-volt version of one of these without a battery or charger, granted. But these aren't cordless. These are corded tools. I'm pretty sure they're not cordless. For 200 bucks, you can buy a Milwaukee M12 version with 2 batteries and a charger. So, you know, be careful with this stuff, guys. I didn't look into the pricing on what a comparable corded one from a premium manufacturer would cost, because I actually do have a cordless one on my buying agenda. You see what I'm saying here. You got to be an educated consumer. That this kind of claim is so asinine that they should be embarrassed to even print it. This is going to be kind of a silly comparison. I know that when I say it. But all these 20-volt Bauer cordless tools cost as much or more than their Ryobi counterparts. And the reason that it's silly is because Ryobi isn't a premium tool name either. However, you can draw from, at least from me personally if you want, 14 years of experience owning Ryobi 18-volt tools. And the ones I have been very good to me. I've actually never had one fail. And a couple of them I have just worked to death. So when you have that kind of experience out there to draw from that you can go watch, I would say at least 5 or 10 years of Ryobi reviews on eBay. The 4 Ryobi videos I have on my channel are radically the most popular ones. In fact, if I were smart, I would be an all Ryobi tool review channel. But those already exist, and actually that's something we're going to talk about another time. Just think through this stuff before you do it. These are probably fine tools. Why would you roll the dice on their Bauer brand that's been around for a couple years or whatever, when you know what you're going to get with the Ryobi, and it's probably less money? It just seems silly. Again, I think they're just depending on people to walk into the store and assume that these are great prices and buy this stuff. Because the people walking in there may have looked at prices for Milwaukee 18 or 20 volt stuff, or DeWalt or whatever. And in fact, they love comparing their stuff to DeWalt all the time because the prices are so much higher. But I'll bet you money that these are not DeWalt quality tools. These are probably in the same factory as the Ryobis. And in fact, I think the DeWalts are in the same factory as the Ryobis too, but you get the point. And I could keep going on this topic for probably another 4 hours. But the point here isn't just to beat the crap out of Harbor Freight, or to even say that any of those tools I pointed out are truly bad, because my opinion of them is negative, so I'm not going to go buy them. If you go buy them and you have a better opinion, post a video. That's what we're doing here. We're having a dialogue. And I know that a lot of the guys out there that watch channels like mine are significantly younger than I am, that they're young guys that are getting started and haven't had a lot of experience buying tools, and they probably view Harbor Freight as an affordable place to go get stuff. And in a lot of cases that's true, and I could go on for 4 hours about awesome stuff to buy at Harbor Freight too, and I probably will at some point, but that'll be out in the shop because we'll be talking about stuff I actually do own and know isn't junk because I bought it, I own it. So just bear in mind, this is just a fun video. I'm not trying to crap on anybody else's opinion or anybody else's tool collection or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is raise your awareness and make you guys smart consumers about some of the stuff that they're starting to do at Harbor Freight. You don't want to go in there and pay more money for Harbor Freight tools than you can for name brand tools that have been around forever, or that are just a bad value. Like, why would you pay more for a smaller LED light? That's just dumb. So guys, I hope you guys found this one to be fun, a little entertaining, maybe a little informative. And as always, I appreciate you stopping in, and we'll catch you on the next one. I'm Max, that's Saddington Bear, and we make videos like this all the time. Here are a couple links to some other videos we've made, and we really appreciate you guys stopping in.